Okay, in this module we're going to pick up from the last video. You should have your site set up, and you did that through Manage Sites, and you've picked your local folder. From here on out in the class, anytime you're managing files, you should try to do it from the Files window as much as possible. That way Dreamweaver keeps track of all the changes that you make, and if it updates anything throughout your site, Dreamweaver keeps track of it and will update code for you. For example, if we had links to different pages on other pages within our site, and maybe we changed the name. Instead of archives, we changed this to store. Any links that were to the archives page could automatically be updated for you in Dreamweaver. So that makes it really handy, because you may not remember every place that you created a link to something. So if you go and change files outside of Dreamweaver and you don't make the updates, you're going to have a lot of broken links and some issues with your site. So one of the really nice features of Dreamweaver is it keeps track of that for you. But that's given that you always have your site set up properly. So you have your site name and you've got it properly set to a local folder. If you're moving files around, you need to always go back and do this. Alright, so you can go back to the other video on how to do the site management if you need to. What we're going to do now is set up our template page. Now up until this point, we've done everything with our About page. So let's go ahead and open that up. And I can actually switch to design view here, and maybe I'll even change it to live view. We haven't really been using this view much in Dreamweaver, but I close all these little notices. This does give you a preview to what your site can look like, or what it does look like. It even pulls in web fonts, which is kind of nice. Alright, so we got a lot of things that we're going to want to copy over to our template that are universal. For instance, the logo, the main navigation up at the top, even this this aside that we have over here, and then our footer and the background. All of those things are what we call global design elements. They're on every page pretty much exactly the same. Links will sort of change because of the folder site structure. The links to different pages are going to be different. For instance, if you're on the home page, the links to these pages change. Likewise, if you're on contact, these links change. So what's nice about it is once we have this set up in Dreamweaver, Dreamweaver will actually take care of all of those relative links for us. And so you don't have to sit there every page think about, okay, was this ... or not. Dreamweaver is going to be able to figure that out for you. Likewise, there's a lot of content that's in the head tags. So we have all of this content that was in our head. And I should make sure that I'm going to pause this video for a second to make the content code bigger. Okay, there we go, that's a little bit better. So we have information that is in our head tags that we're also going to want to have in our template and apply to all pages on the site. Now this part gets a little tricky, so bear with me here. One of the things we're going to end up doing is we're going to be creating a template from our About page so that it looks like this, and then we have to apply the template back to the About page. When we do that, we could possibly lose a lot of this content. Well, we will lose all that content. So I'm going to want to create a copy of this index file inside my About folder first, just to make sure I can go back to it. So if I right click on the file, I should be able to go to Edit, Duplicate. There's also a shortcut key for that. Likewise, I could have the file highlighted and come up to File, I think, where is this, File, Edit, somewhere in here there should be Duplicate. Maybe not. Maybe I have to use, I'm not seeing duplicate as an option from this top window. Okay, so I guess I won't be doing that. So I will have to do it from the little window, the Files window. And if you don't have that, you come up to Dreamweaver and Window, Files. You should have this one open all the time. But I'll right-click this, hit Edit, and Duplicate. So it creates a copy there for me so I can go back to it. It's going to be the exact same code. And I don't need to open it right now because I'm going to convert this to a template page. Alright, so with this open, so the first thing we're going to do here is convert this current page to a template. We come over here to File, Save as Template. Now this is grayed out probably because I'm in Live View, so let me switch this to Code View. Let's try this again. File, there we go. We're looking for File, Save as Template. The site should already come up if you've got your site set up, which is good. Over here as Save As, instead of Index, I'm going to change this to Template. And we hit Save. It's going to ask to update the links. Go ahead and hit Yes. And what's nice of Dreamweaver here is that it automatically created a template page for us with a templates folder. It's possible to have more than one template for a website. If it starts getting that complex, you might have a reason for that, but generally we can control the entire website from one template. Okay, so that's how we do it, and now you'll notice that when you look at the tab name, it's no longer index, it's now called template.dwt. So some things that it put in for us, you can see some of this yellow code right here. These are little editable regions. And the first place where you can edit things is the page title. And that's probably a good thing. Like I can change this to Philo Webcomic, and that's the title it'll put in by default when you create a new page from a template. Likewise, there are editable regions that we can add stuff to our head tag in between this quote, which opens up an editable region, and this one, which closes it. And later on, we'll probably add some meta tags in here. For instance, one meta tag that you could add would be a unique description for each page. Not going to worry about that right now. We could put that in a little bit later. But right now, if I save this, everything else is going to be locked down on all pages. It hasn't been applied to all the other pages yet, but it will be soon as we do the apply things. But before we do that, we need to create an editable region for the content. So where I'm going to do that is right here after the main. I'm going to take all the content in between the main tags and delete it. Now I'm not worried about it because remember I have a copy on my About page or in my About folder if I ever need that back again. But I do need to get rid of all that content, otherwise all that content is always going to get applied to every page. Well, that's not the content I want on every page, so I need to remove any content right now that doesn't belong on every page. So right now everything else I've got here is global content. In between my main tags, I need to add what's called an editable region. Now your website is always going to need an editable region. At least one. Otherwise you're not going to be able to change the content page to page. So this is pretty important. This is the whole purpose of having a template. So adding an editable region isn't too difficult. First thing we want to do, and I always do this in code view, you can try to do this in live view or design view, but a lot of times you don't know if you've got your cursor in the right place. You want to make sure that the code is getting put in the right place. Sometimes you can't see that in design or live view. So I do this in code view. I make sure that my cursor is right here between my two main tags, because that's where I want content to be different from page to page. Makes sense, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and insert an editable region. If you've got your insert window open, you'll see you've got a lot of options. If you don't see insert in your windows, you come up here to window and choose insert. And this is one way of letting Dreamweaver do this for you. You could always try to do this yourself by writing hand code, but then you have to know exactly what to write. It's not something I do often enough, so I can't say I have it memorized. Like, I could always write a link because I know how this works, right? But this code that is specific to Dreamweaver, I don't use it regular enough, so it's probably handy to let Dreamweaver, with its user interface, do it for me. So when I'm in the insert window view, there's a little menu button here that lets me choose templates. I think by default you're going to see HTML options. We're going to switch that to templates and choose Editable Region. You just click on that. You can call it whatever you want, and I'm going to call this page content. And this doesn't have to be lowercase with hyphens, because this gets put into what is called comments, and that doesn't apply to the code. So I'll call it something descriptive like page content, so that I can make sense of what that editable region is. If you just call it Editable Region 1, it may not always be clear as to what you can actually change on each page. So this is going to be page content. Hit OK, and you can see it goes ahead and puts in a couple things. It puts in Dreamweaver's own comment tags as to where your page content starts. It even put in a little bit of starter content for you, and then the close comment tags. And again, these comment tags are pretty much ignored by web browsers. They do go into your code. They mean nothing else to the rest of the world, but to Dreamweaver, this is what you need in order for your template to work. Now for me, I like to organize this and put these all on their own line so that I can see things a little bit easier. Just like that. And I really don't need the main after where the template ends. Alright, so that's how we enter an editable region. When I've got that, I'll go ahead and hit save, and that's now applied to my template, and that's how you add an editable region. Well, first of all, that's how we converted a page to a template and how we added our first editable region. And in our next video, we're going to do a little bit more to learn about how to create optional regions. And so that will be the next video.